All right, 2 Samuel 4, let's call this one He Thought and subtitle it Regifting 2, because this is going to be the second time in the first 4 chapters of 2 Samuel where we are going to see someone who thinks they're giving David a gift, sorely surprised by his response, going back to that whole concept we talked about of regifting, where if you give a person a gift without completely understanding their needs or the things that they might really want, you're probably increasing the chance that that gift might get regifted. And in this chapter, once again, we're going to see David regift in a very harsh way when two of the men who acted as servants, actually heads of raiding parties for Saul's son Ishbosheth, are actually going to conspire against him and kill him and bring his head to David, thinking they're doing David a favor. They're going to learn the hard way, like the Amalekite young man did in chapter 1, that that is not the way to impress David, where we read at verse 9, "But David answered Rechab and Baanah, his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, as the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life out of every adversity, when one told me, 'Behold, Saul is dead,' and thought he was bringing good news. I seized him and killed him at Ziklag, which was the reward I gave him for his news. How much more when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house, on his own bed, shall I not now require his blood at your hand and destroy you from the earth?" And David commanded his young men, and they killed them and cut off their hands and their feet and hanged them beside the pool at Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner at Hebron. There are two lessons to possibly learn here. First of which is not to make too much of someone getting away with a murder. See, because in the last chapter, Abner was murdered by Joab in revenge for Abner killing Joab's youngest brother. Joab, however, didn't get killed. He was David's general, and not killing Joab might have set an example that caused these two men to think that, wait a minute, if David allowed a man as great as Abner to be struck down, who is Ishbosheth in comparison to Abner? And they might have taken the mercy shown to Joab too far, understanding that one, Joab was the general of David's army, but even though he didn't kill Joab himself, he cursed Joab and called down God's judgment on him, saying, "Let the wicked be treated according to their ways," making no mistake that he did not want to be associated with Joab's deeds. And so these two men might have made the mistake of thinking that since Joab got away with it, we might too. And in that mindset, they brought David a gift that he promptly regifted in a way they probably didn't expect. And two, this is the third time in 4 chapters that we are seeing David distance himself from backstabbing, for lack of a better term, understanding that he killed the young Amalekite who took credit for killing Saul, thinking that he would potentially curry favor with David. David made it clear he wanted no parts of any kind of underhanded dealing, even if it meant getting even with Saul. Likewise with Joab, David cursed Joab for being underhanded in the way that he killed Abner. And finally now, in chapter 4, we're seeing David once again distance himself from any kind of underhanded dealing, even if it is with Ishbosheth, someone who was not even courageous enough to really fight his own battles, but had Abner essentially take control of the nation for him in error, understanding that David was the rightful king of Israel. But even at that, David wanted nothing to do with the appearance of partnering with killing Ishbosheth in any kind of underhanded way. Once again, we're seeing for the third time in 4 chapters, David doing what he can to establish his kingdom in integrity, doing everything he can, seemingly, to distance himself from backstabbing or any kind of shady conduct, understanding that as a leader, the example that he sets is what he can expect his people to follow, which is why we often say, God's best to you as you go forward in him. This time, possibly understanding the reasons why David thought it was so important to establish a culture of integrity in Israel.